Whispering Circle. The town of Pineview always had a charming allure, with its dense pine forests and crisp mountain air. For years, the townsfolk had lived harmoniously with nature, never taking more than they needed from the land. But when the logging company arrived, that balance began to shift. It was a late afternoon in October when Frank, the town's sheriff, received a call from one of the loggers. They had found something strange in the woods. Curiosity piqued, Frank headed out to investigate. Upon arriving at the logging site, he was greeted by a group of visibly shaken workers. They led him to the source of their distress, a ring of massive pine trees, their roots grotesquely intertwined, forming a natural barrier around the perimeter. What unnerved the loggers most, however, was the eerie silence that pervaded the area, devoid of any typical forest sounds. An inexplicable chill ran through Frank's soul as he approached the ring. As he examined the peculiar formation, he noticed something peculiar about the trees. They seemed to be whispering. He dismissed it as his imagination and decided to report the find to the town's council. The council members, intrigued by the discovery, decided to venture into the woods themselves to see it firsthand. Unnerved by the unnatural quietness and the seemingly sentient trees, they elected to leave the ring undisturbed, despite the logging company's insistence. A few nights later, strange occurrences began to plague Pineview. Townspeople reported hearing faint whispers on the wind, often unintelligible but filled with an undeniable sense of malice. Pets went missing, only to be found days later, lifeless and contorted in gruesome positions. The once tranquil town was now steeped in an atmosphere of dread. Frank couldn't shake the feeling that the events were somehow connected to the mysterious Ring of Pines. He started to research the town's history, hoping to uncover any clues that could help him understand the unsettling occurrences. Deep within the town's archives, he found a forgotten journal belonging to the town's founder, William Pine. In the journal, William described his encounters with a group of indigenous people who lived in the area before the settlers arrived. They had warned him about the Ring of Pines, calling it the Whispering Circle. According to their legends, the trees were ancient spirits protecting a sacred site. Disturbing the trees, they claimed, would unleash a terrible curse upon those who dared defy them. Armed with this newfound knowledge, Frank presented his findings to the council members. Initially skeptical, they could no longer ignore the mounting evidence. It seemed that by attempting to cut down the trees, the loggers had awakened a malevolent force. Desperate to restore peace to Pineview, the council arranged a meeting with the logging company's executives, urging them to cease their operations in the area. The executives, driven by greed and unwilling to sacrifice profits, flatly refused. As days turned to weeks, the eerie whispers grew louder and more frequent. The town was paralyzed with fear, and many residents began to flee. The logging company, unwilling to lose their investment, employed armed guards to protect their workers from the mysterious force that seemed to be targeting them. One night, as the full moon cast a pale glow over the Whispering Circle, the situation reached a boiling point. The whispers, now a cacophony of menacing voices, echoed through the night. A thick fog rolled in, enveloping the town in a suffocating blanket of darkness. The terrified townspeople huddled in their homes, praying for the nightmare to end. Frank, however, felt a strange compulsion to return to the Ring of Pines. He could no longer ignore the voices that seemed to be calling him, beckoning him to the heart of the forest. As he ventured deeper into the woods, the fog intensified and the temperature plummeted. The darkness was nearly impenetrable, but Frank pressed on, drawn inexorably toward the Whispering Circle. When he finally arrived, the whispers reached a fever pitch. The ground trembled beneath him as the roots of the ancient pines began to writhe and twist, rising from the earth like serpents. The trees seemed to pulse with a sinister energy, their gnarled branches casting grotesque shadows across the forest floor. Suddenly, the whispers ceased. The silence was deafening, and for a moment, Frank believed the ordeal had ended. But as he turned to leave, the ground beneath him cracked open, and an enormous twisted root surged forth, ensnaring him in its vice-like grip. The roots dragged Frank into the center of the Whispering Circle, where the earth had split open to reveal a gaping chasm. As he stared into the abyss, the whispers returned, this time as a single, unified voice. "We warned you," it hissed, its tone laced with malevolence. "You have desecrated our sacred ground, and now you must pay the price." The roots tightened around Frank, crushing him with agonizing force. He could only watch helplessly as the chasm swallowed him whole, the whispers echoing in his ears as he was consumed by darkness. The following morning, the townspeople awoke to find the fog had lifted and the whispers had ceased. They cautiously ventured into the woods, searching for any sign of their missing sheriff. When they arrived at the Whispering Circle, they found the ring of trees standing as silent sentinels, their roots now motionless and reburied in the earth. Of Frank, there was no trace. Shaken by the disappearance and the terrifying events that had unfolded, the logging company finally relented and withdrew from Pineview. The surviving residents, haunted by the horrors they had experienced, were left to rebuild their lives in the shadow of the Whispering Circle. As the years passed, the town began to heal, but the memory of the dark curse that had once terrorized them never faded. The townspeople erected a fence around the ring of pines, accompanied by a warning to never disturb the ancient spirits that resided within. And so, the Whispering Circle remained undisturbed, a chilling reminder of the price of humanity's hubris. The eerie silence returned, broken only by the occasional rustling of the wind through the pines, as if whispering a warning to those who dared to venture too close. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more true scary stories.